Seth Adams is our recreation director, and Seth is here to talk to us about Park Meadows, among other things. Seth, welcome. Glad you're here.
Thanks for having me. Looking at the handout, that's a comparison of my budget that I turned in last year and the additions that it will take this year, bringing Park Meadows online. Going down the line, salaries, I'm obviously going to need some more folks out there to help run that, with an addition of $38,793 part-time salary, which is quite a bit out there. Will increase my budget $30,000. Going down, the rest of them are Medicare, longevity, that stuff is all just based on a percentage. Office supplies, there'll be very little office supply usage out there. Custodial supplies will add quite a bit. There'll be 3 more bathrooms to bring online so that you've got to stock them. Operating supplies, which is my fertilizer, lime, that type of stuff. I'm doubling my acreage by bringing Park Meadows on. So that's an additional $17,000. Rec sports, which is things that we buy, balls and bases and mounds, will increase by $2,000. Vehicle repair and maintenance, which is what we buy, gas and oil, fix the things that we have, will have to go up $3,000. Maintenance, hopefully nothing out there will be needed much in the maintenance department since it's going to be brand new, but just to be safe, we're adding $5,000. Property and building improvements will go up by $5,000. Telephone expense will go up $1,500. My head guy out there will need a smartphone. Smartphones is what's going to basically cut lights on and off and to be able to be reached all the time. Everything is going to be computerized out there, so being able to do it remotely will help save us big time in the long run. Electricity is a pretty big chunk. It will increase by $25,000.
So you mentioned that just side note, something you told me on the rec board that you or whoever will be able to turn the lights off on the field from your cell phone.
Yes.
No matter where we are.
No matter where we are. We'll be able to get a report. Actually, it will report back to us if a bulb is going to go bad 3 days before it actually goes out. It'll send me a text message saying, you got a bulb that's about to go out. But one is also sent to the company, and the company that we went through for the first 10 years actually comes and changes it for us. So that's a pretty good deal as far as things like that go. And non-capital equipment, that's for weed eaters and wrenches, hammers, that type of stuff that we'll need for out there.
Since it's your intent to have an on-site management person promote every day?
Yes, it is. If you will,
Well, I don't want to jump ahead.
I'll get to that shortly. The total increase will be $155,299. That will up my budget to a total of $788,166. If you look back at the park budget, even and put band-aids on things for the point where we're cut about as low as we can and still maintain what we're maintaining, but that's not bad considering we're adding a whole new rec park. It's still going to be lower than what we were.
Here's the bottom line. When we talk about this at rec level, we have had less than adequate recreation facilities for some time for the population.
Yes.
Compared to other counties. The number of people who play sports will be serviced out there. So we needed the space. So we actually more than double. Where you're at is 38 acres. What we're adding is 41. So it's 48. 31, 48.
Yeah.
So we're more than doubling the space that the county citizens can utilize, but the cost per run that's only up 24%.
Yeah.
Because you get a better bang for your buck, the more space you have per dollar for
True.
recreation.
And those are all operational costs. We've got to get into another thing, additional costs. It'll be a one-time expenditure is the next line item for the next handout. These are things that we were hoping maybe the contingency would cover, but finding the tooth kind of sets us back as far as that goes. But dugout benches, the bleachers outside are part of the park grant. That's in the Park Meadows budget. But benches for the dugouts at a total of $8,600. Safety netting, and by safety netting I mean it goes down the sidelines. I don't know if you've ever been to one of these parks, but whenever fields are back to back, you keep balls from going into the other fields. That is not included in the cost at a total of $14,000. Temporary fencing. Temporary fencing is plastic fence that you put on the big fields to make the big fields smaller. So we can, if we have a tournament of 8, 9-year-olds, they can all play on that field and be at regulation length. Aside note of that, we already have 4 tournaments booked for next fall. One of which is a global NIT, which is the largest baseball tournament that the USSSA puts on in our state. Probably anywhere from 40 up to 70.
I would just like to, that will be contingent upon us getting an agreement to enter into the use of our facility that's been approved by legal counsel prior to entering into. That's still contingent on that being done. So we'll have to develop an agreement that lays out what the county expects and what the vendor, tournament director is going to give us in return, and we'll have to have that agreement approved by legal counsel. So that's just for the media and everybody.
Besides what's mentioned.
Fine, West Main Street.
Yes. Moving on, backstop padding. 4 of our fields will have a concrete wall behind home plate. We've got to pad those, and we're going to put padding on the chain link fences also to save them from getting kind of pushed out. If you go to the rec park now, fences behind home plate look pretty rough. Just from balls hitting it on a continuous basis, it'll add to the overall theme of things. Fence cap is the plastic PVC pipe that goes on the outfield fence. If you want to save the ball, it keeps you from hanging up your clothes. The basketball goals for the multi-use court. Then we get into picnic tables and trash receptacles.
Big concrete tables, wood.
These are the metal picnic tables with the corrugated, basically powder coated. Yeah, they'll last forever. The duration of the park. And those prices are from one vendor. The BSN has gave me all these quotes now, and they are all quotes from that KPN purchasing network that we went. They're a vendor from them, so these are very compatible prices. 2 ADA picnic tables, 1 for each side of the picnic shelter, and then 22 other picnic tables, 5 of which will go on each side of the shelter, but then there'll be the additional picnic area next to the pond, and then a few other tables scattered throughout the park. I consider those one-time park expenditures because the life of those is 10 plus years. We shouldn't have to buy any more of that stuff for quite a while. Other expenditures are the bases for all the fields. That's putting a home plate and then bases.
Is that a breakaway base?
It will be. Yeah, we have to go. Little League requires a magnetic base now. We put the mounts in the ground, and you stick a magnet on top of that mount, and your base sits there. So
If you hit it hard,
if you slide into it, it won't snap your leg. It breaks that off. And there's 3 different levels of magnets you put on, depending on if adults are playing and which age group you're playing. But that's what those are for. We buy and that will not be a total cost per year. We do buy a new set of bases for every field every year. And we usually put them on come All-Star time. And then we start the season out with that set for the next year. Bases, they take quite a bit of wear on these things.
Compared to that pro baseball game here, what they change your bases out instead of 15.
Yeah.
They get 2 sets per game.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's a little overkill.
But this includes the home plate in it, which is the most expensive of them. They're about $300 a piece, and we won't replace the home plate every year. Home plates last for anywhere from 5 to 7 years before you have to replace those. The wood in them rots out; they get solid, but the home plate will stay. But and actually, once we have the base mounts and stuff in the ground, the bases get cheaper. All we buy is the top part of the base that slides. So you cut that 5,346 its initial startup down to about 1,200 to just buy the bases for each of the fields. 8 portable pitching mounds. The mounds, everything out there, every field will be totally flat. There won't be any permanent pitching mounds. All these tournaments now are going to these portable mounds. And this way, girls softball can play on it at 7 o'clock. We take that mound off, and boys baseball can play on it at 9 o'clock. It's a styrofoam, and it's covered with astroturf, basically, with a mound on it. There's various sizes, but that's what everybody uses now. Most parks are going to them full time, but especially since we plan on hosting tournaments here, we never know if it's going to be a girls' tournament this week or a boys' tournament.
When softball doesn't use mounds, it's
No, from flat.
Baseball, pitch.
Yeah. So that will help us not having to scrape off a mound and build back all the time. It takes a full day to build a good mound, and it takes up to 2 weeks for it to cure and set in. So the portable mound is the only way to go. We should get at least 3 seasons out of those, sometimes more, depending on if they get mistreated. But these will be taken care of, taken in and out on a more regular basis, because we'll be having softball and everything on them all the time. The pickleball nets for the multi-use court. Some of y'all get bombarded with emails, about pickleball all the time, and 2 dry line field markers for a total cost of $14,739. That is the stuff that we needed to buy ever so often, but not on a year-to-year basis. The bleachers are in with the Park Meadow cost. They were required for our park grant, so we did include those in. The equipment that we needed out there will be a work truck, $22,000, 2 John Deere Gators, one. The original thought was that one could do it, but that place is huge. Once you get out there and actually get on it, looking at a map, you think you can get done with one, but there's no way to fix all the fields in a single day before ball games start that evening with just one being able to drag and lime. So we need 2 of those. A tractor that will have a mowing attachment underneath it with a backhoe. A ball field mower, which is a little bigger. It's got a striping system on it at $10,932, and just a grounds mower that'll mow everything on the outside of the ball fields. We don't want to mix those 2. We want to cut just the fields with that mower, and don't cut anything else, just keep the weeds and everything else out of it. For a total equipment cost of $75,377, which I have $22,500 of that in this year's budget. We had already planned to buy a mower because obviously we have to maintain it whether it's open or not. So we were going to have to buy some of the equipment out of this year's budget prior to the upcoming budget. For a total that we will need is $52,877. For the total additional cost of the Park and Meadows project now that we'll need once we open is $149,062.44. The ball field mower will just mow the outfields. you don't want to cut like a rough area and then come in and cut the ball fields. Those blades will stay sharper all the time, and it'll have basically a bagging system that you'll take the clippings off of.
A golf course comparison would be one mower mowing the greens,
One to mow the fairways.
one mower the fairway. It's
That way you don't bring the grasses mixed. Even though we've got one type of grass out there now, there'll be some rougher areas where we didn't have to plant, where it's going to be just what's out there. And you don't want to bring that stuff into the ball field. The next page, the current structure of our departments, and their salaries are on there. As you can see, the director, I've got an athletics coordinator, I've got a Nantahala site supervisor, I've got a community building / special events coordinator, I've got 3 building attendants, one of which spends part-time on the greenway. And then over in the park, in the maintenance department, we have three full-time workers that fix the fields and anything else that tears up. And then I don't have, but Steve Ledford has 1 worker down on the greenway. Their total of those combined comes to $344,308. That's the total between our 2 departments in salary. With a new structure on how we would like to see happen, we would have a director, an athletics coordinator, a rec park grounds supervisor, who is kind of like referencing it back to the golf course superintendent. He will be over the grass, keeping things cut, testing it to see what fertilizer it needs. But not only at that park, but at the rec park and up at Nantahala. We've got a ball field up in Highlands too that's under contract, and it gets taken care of by whoever's got that contract. Then maybe restructure Nantahala site supervisor job into a rec park worker. Then my 3 building attendants, one of which is half of a greenway. Then 2 full-time rec workers out at the rec park that's now there, and taking the one that is there that just retired, putting him out at Parker Meadows, where I have 2 at the rec park, 2 at Parker Meadows, and then the rec park ground supervisor. It'll take 3 guys on a daily basis to line and grade and mark the fields, and keep everything mowed and cut, along with quite a bit of part-time help. And then obviously the greenway, which the rec park ground supervisor would oversee also. That's the thought behind. The total of that comes to $383,139. Total increase to the rec park is $156,616. Total decrease to maintenance, if you combine, if you take those guys that are working for the rec park now in the maintenance department out of maintenance, is $117,823.68. So a total overall county budget increase is $38,792.79. By restructuring some salaries, decreasing some that were retired at an upper scale, hiring them back in at the lower scale, we're actually able to decrease what I had originally asked for 2.5 years ago as far as salaries for 3 people by that $20,000.
So bottom line, the total overall increase as you're going to the Cook County manager is $38,000.
It's $38,000, and you're getting 2 new employees for that total. And the following is just basically a organizational scale of how I would like to see our department structure.
Says some concerns of the big part, his liaison there, and he can have this discussion. There is some concern about our existing and that thing not being done on time or done properly or kept up. So do you have money in the budget your upcoming budget, are you looking at specific things that we need to look at there?
We are. We've got a list of things to do to help bring things up. Kind of how they are now. Some of which has already happened. We took the old top off the Little League dugout. You go to the Little League field now, the old scorer's booth is no longer there. It looks like there's just two dugouts, like it was originally made to look, without putting the scorer's booth up on the top of the third base dugout. But we took that down, replaced that roof. We plan on fixing up the back cages by putting new carpet down. Obviously, we'll wait till a little bit better weather, but that'll all happen before ball games start. And everything else is nothing major, no major issues. It hurts not having a grounds department. Those workers are maintenance workers. They may get pulled off to do other things.
Who cleans the community building?
Uh,
If the county didn't.
No, that's community building staff. That's mine. There will be an issue with the community building also that we need to look at in this coming budget of the roof. We've got some leaks that come down the wall, so there'll need to be some roof work. But as of right now, I don't think that's going to need to increase my maintenance budget. We'll take that out of our maintenance line.
That thing's been real standby. We got you.
Oh yeah. That the department has, or that building has been there quite a long time. Quite a few people have used it. For Parker Meadows, basically like the park is now. If there's nothing going on out there, it'll be daylight to dark. We won't cut the lights on unless there's ball games. And if there are ball games, whatever time the ball game's in is closed. There's not a drop dead curfew. No, that would be up to y'all to decide. But right now, it'll just be whenever ball game's in is when the closing will be. When we cut the lights out. Security will be, we will have some kind of a camera system out there, but it'll also be, Sheriff's Department will patrol it like they do the rec park now. We usually have guys, while we're open, I've always got somebody in the park, and people kind of ran out, and after that, in my eyes, you're kind of trespassing. If there's no ball games going on, and if the rest of the park is dark, and you're in there, we'll get
It's going to be pretty well.
5 or 6. It will be. The roadway especially will be lit through it by you. But when the rule basically will state when the ball field lights are out, the park is closed. It's not going to be open 24 hours.
Your neighbors that surround it, is that a pretty large population?
It is. There are 2 subdivisions up above it, but I've heard very little complaints.
We had a public hearing involving people that were concerned were traffic coming in
Maxwell Home.
Home Road and the lights. And we addressed that by going with the lighting company we did. The lighting is very direct. They look at different fields that had, if you walk 10, 15 feet off the field, it's dark. It's like the LED lights that you have in cars. That's very direct lighting. You don't see the big ball of light
No.
like you do in the rec park.
No.
So that answers that concern. Then the second concern is the traffic on Maxwell Home Road. So we addressed that. Like Maxwell Home would be sort of an emergency exit.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be open.
Well, we're not allowed to put anything to barricade it because
It's not, nobody.
it will not. No,
There's no
you
reason
won't
not.
bypass the main entrance to drive around to come in kind of the back way.
So the town of Highlands is going to be significantly cheaper and a better job produced by subcontracting all the maintenance. Have you considered that for parks?
We looked at that at the time, and the cost savings with it being one field up in Highlands. We did look at it and a few times. That one field by the square footage of the other fields, you know, and times it by 8 just for that Parker Meadows side, it wasn't feasible at the time. I'd actually talked to a couple of guys down here, and they were way more as far as the what their contract would be than it would be to hire full-time guys that are out there. Plus, they wouldn't be able to handle the day-to-day issue. Most of them didn't want to do the bathrooms and cleaning, you
Yeah, I
know,
figured you'd have somebody else down there.
and that type of stuff. Yeah.
All part.
Well, most of the maintenance we will get is going to be done from $8 an hour with a part-time worker, with a weed eater and a mower, and it's hard to beat that subcontracting it out to that price. In Highlands, it works great because we would have to send somebody up there every day, and for that to be a one-site thing, it was a little different whenever you put it on the scale of a whole park system. Some larger communities, Charlotte, some of these folks have went into contracts with major corporations that come in and take care of their grounds totally. Some golf courses are starting to go towards that. But it's, right now, I don't think we don't have anybody large enough, because basically those workers work at that park all the time. I mean, you'll be mowing the ball fields twice a week, and the other grounds once a week. So it would take somebody who had a contracted business. That would be pretty much the only place that they would be able to do would be our park.
Yeah, other questions? Thanks, Steve.
All right, thank you.
Do a lot with Louisiana.
We appreciate the job you and Mr. Word for saying on the rec board as well. This man has worked easily 30 to 40% more than he has in the past.
Yes.
Because the addition of Parker Meadows, he's done the majority of the legwork, as his man back in the room there, Jack Moore. A lot of this work, running down these prices, doing everything for Parker Grant. So these guys have worked overtime that they've not been compensated for. And I just want to say thank you for the hard work and good work that you've done this project.
Thank you. Thank you.
Before we get into the